Hello everyone and welcome to SUGTalks. I'm Craig Dale, your host, and together with our special guests we'll take a deep dive into the challenges, topics and opportunities facing SAP users today. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. I'm delighted to be joined today by Iver van der Zand, CTO and Vice President of the Business Technology Platform EMEA at SAP. So welcome again, Iver.
Yeah, it's a delight to be with you, Greg, again. So super proud to be here. Super proud to talk about the business technology platform. We are evolving and innovating quite fast, Greg. So looking forward to the discussion.
Oh, fantastic. And today we're going to be discussing some of the key announcements that came out of SAP Sapphire, which happened just a few short weeks ago in both Orlando and Barcelona. And just before we get into that, Eva, just like to ask you, if I may, is there one day in your life you'd like to relive? And while you're thinking about that, I'll just kind of toss this over in my mind. And there's so many key moments, I suppose, the first time I met my future wife, the day I got married, birth of my children, birth of my grandchildren, winning trophies with my cricket teammates. There's so many things, but I'm actually going to go with an experience I had on my own while traveling on business, to be honest. I was going to a conference in California, landed in San Francisco late one Saturday evening, had the Sunday to myself, so I actually rented a bike and cycled across the Golden Gate Bridge into Sausalito. I had lunch, the weather was perfect, the sun was out, I had lunch looking across the bay, and then I caught the ferry back across, returned the bike, got the trolley bus up to near where I was staying. It was just one of those days that sticks in my mind. That was, if I wasn't on my own, it would have been perfect. But it was on my own. It was almost perfect. And that's where I'm going with. What about you?
Yeah, that is so while listening to you, I was quickly thinking there are so many days that I'd like to relive, birth of my son, meeting my partner and what have you. But the one that I'm gonna pick is August 5th out of my head, 1986. And what happened that day, I have a top sports background, and a sport that not a lot of people do. I am a sailor. Yeah, so I did regatta racing in dinghy boats all over the world, and I spent the bigger part of my youth on it. And on that day, I won my first world title, and it was
Wow.
fantastic. It was in France, where we raced. We went to there hoping that we could do the top 10, and the luck was a bit on my side, in all fairness, Greg, and we were able to win. And it was a weird feeling because sailing is not a sport that a lot of people know. A lot of people um, perceive that as sitting in the sun in your swimming clothes, but it's actually quite hard work. So super proud on that, and it led to a lot more afterwards. But it's one of the days that I will never forget, and I think a lot about it.
Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
just one of the things that we've learned from this podcast, we recorded an episode with David Robinson from SAP a few weeks ago and found out that he's an oboist, a trained oboist. That these are the things that, we can really drill into on this podcast. That is not SAP related, but it's fantastic to know. Thank you and congratulations.
yeah. The fun thing is that SAP has always been touching the sailing sport a little bit, Quack. Yeah, so we are sponsoring a bit. We have SAP sailing software, and what I do, to be honest, now that you ask me, as a kind of a pet project next to my core role in BTP, I help that sub-sailing team quite a bit, building dashboards for them with our analytics technology. Just a small thing on the side that I like to it. It gives me a link to sailing.
Oh, wow. Brilliant. Well, thank you for that, Eva. And
Yeah.
just moving on to our main topic of discussion, and just before we start that, I just wondered if you would give us a little bit of background on yourself and your role at SAP for those that perhaps haven't heard you on the podcast before.
Yeah, so again, my name is Iver van der Zand. I'm the CTO for the business technology platform for EMEA. So spanning everything between Scandinavia all the way to Spain to South Africa and the triangle to the Emirates. And as a CTO, I basically have three responsibilities, Greg. I look after all the EMEA solution advisors or pre-sales people, as we sometimes use them. So those are people who are specialized in the content topics of BTP. Think around architectures, value proposition, what to use when, how to migrate from one to the other. So the more content aspect. We have around 120 in my organization that are sitting in the various countries. Second, we also have a central black belt team. So that is a regional team of top experts that we fly in to countries where there was a need for them to assist. Yeah, so they are again focused, specialized in subsets of the BTP. Could be AI, could be integration, could be BTP using for transformations. So that is the black belt team. I also run that. And then I do a lot of customers myself. Yeah, so some of our bigger customers require a direct connect to the content and the technology. So I sponsor them and have discussions with them on a monthly basis. And that is, I try to limit to 7 or 8 customers, Greg, that I do. And you know, maybe a fourth thing is that I spend a lot of time representing BTP, coming to your events, Greg, but also to some of the events we run ourselves.
Fantastic, thank you. And just going to Sapphire now,
Yeah.
and what were some of the key Sapphire announcements? Would you be able to summarize them for our listeners?
Yeah, so Sapphire, for those of you who missed it, like you said, Greg, we won them simultaneously in Orlando and in Barcelona, just 2 weeks behind them, I believe. And the number one key theme at Sapphire was business AI. Yeah, AI in context on top of our SAP ecosystem. That means things like embedded AI in all our core applications. That means things like transformational AI, where you can build up your own use case. But AI is now landing infused everywhere in our core technology. So we can talk about that in a little bit more detail, but I think that is the number one that you saw there. Second, one that I want to call out is when you look at companies transforming, yeah, going from ERP on-premise to S/4HANA or even to RISE, yeah, in private or public cloud, they now get a dedicated enterprise architect. And you might now make a remark saying, oh, that's big news, Ivar. But it is big news because we are going to ensure that that enterprise architect makes sure that that transformation is de-risked and accelerated via all kinds of, I would say, methodologies and things to, and technical help to bring in that transformation. Third one, a little bit related to AI, is that we had a huge announcement that our internal co-pilot for AI that we call Jules is now going to be integrated together and working together with Microsoft Copilot. So two of the biggest co-pilots in the world, Microsoft Copilot and SAP Joule, are now able to seamlessly be interoperable, work together. That is huge. And then the last thing, just before Sapphire, it came as a bit of a surprise to me, in all fairness, is that we announced a acquisition of a company that is called WalkMe, Greg, and that plays in the area of adoption of our technology. Maybe we can talk a little bit about it, but those are the four ones. So business AI everywhere, enterprise architect on transformation, Copilot and Subjoule being interoperable with each other, and the WalkMe acquisition. I think that summarizes it a bit, Greg.
Thank you. That's excellent. So let's have a look at some of those then, if we may. So obviously, Joule, if I can start on that, if I may, was quite a big focus I noticed throughout Barcelona. Apart from the weather was horrendous. I've never seen so much rain, I don't think, and he's me looking for sunshine, escaping the great British weather. But yeah, so those generative AI capabilities, how can they, with Joule, support customers and make them more productive?
Yeah, so what Joule is going to do is really play in the game of optimization and finding efficiency and qualitative improvements. So efficiency improvements, there's no secret, Greg, that some of our SAP technology is big and complex. Whether it's S4, whether it's IBP, whether it's success factors, those are huge core applications in organizations. And it might sometimes be a bit complex to find your way. Joule is really gonna shortcut that. So you can use Joule to easily access your best optimal workflow that you want to reach. Joule is going to recommend you for certain improvements. Imagine you have back orders. Yeah, you want to optimize your back orders and build a shortcut over there. Joule will send you the recommendation. What the nice thing about Joule is, what I personally like, is that Joule 100% works in context. I always make a joke to my customers, Greg. Don't ask Joule what pair of shoes to wear with your new sweater that you bought, because it's not going to answer you. Yeah? Joule talks in the context of the SAP ecosystem. Joule can talk about optimizing your supply chain. Joule can talk about what to do with two bad paying suppliers that you have and recommend another one that works better for you. That is where Joule is going to play. As a technology, Joule is very intelligent because some of our applications have embedded AI in it. I'll give you an example. SAP Analytics Cloud already has a bit of embedded AI in it. For example, Just Ask. What is Joule doing? Joule just accesses the embedded AI from those applications and brings it together. So that is in summary, Greg, I think where Joule is playing. What is important to remind for the listeners over here is that we do things in context. Yeah? Few things that are relatively new to Joule and that a lot of people don't know. Joule also helps on other aspects and elements. Let's give you the example of somebody who builds applications, develops applications. We all have maybe been part of application development, whether it's a complex application with pro code or it is a smaller application with low code. Of course, Joule can, like you expected, help you to build the code for certain workflows. Yeah? I can ask, build me an application to run an event, to manage an event. Yeah? And Joule will create the code, the models, and the data for you. But here it goes. Joule can also create the test data. Joule can also create the test data for Spanish-speaking customers only. And it creates that test data. And I give it as an example, Greg, because it's very powerful technology. Joule can also partially test your application and come up with recommendations. That is very powerful. What for me is clear is that SAP Joule is and will remain our central entry point to business AI with SAP. Yeah? And I think also, I'm reiterating on that context, it is super important. Only SAP can use, verify, and leverage the context from the SAP ecosystem, and that is what Joule is all doing.
Takes the customer's data and leverages that and uses that as part of its language model. So from that perspective then, you mentioned the low code, no code, creating code, actually testing. So is there a difference in the capabilities or a defined difference between the requirements of, say, developers versus consultants, or is it just all together and anyone can leverage it all?
No, I think it depends a little bit on how you look at things. Yeah. So of course we have embedded AI in the meantime everywhere in our LOB applications, but also everywhere in our BTP applications. To give you an example, one of the things we announced in Sapphire is that now also our integration technology benefits from AI. If a customer is using integration suite and the technology will automatically notify and see that you, for example, are using Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce, it will auto suggest to you, Greg, saying, hey, shall I use our pre-built business content and integrate those applications with our technology? So in that perspective, you will see embedded AI coming in everywhere. But SAP Joule you should see as the layer on top of that is able to not only access and leverage those, but also create generative AI output. Yeah? As said, it can work in optimization of processes. It can circle back into Signavio process optimization, for example. Yeah? And it can work together with Copilot. So if you are using Microsoft Copilot or you ever tried it, you will see that through Joule, yeah, you get access to all those capabilities that are there. You made a remark, and you used the word consultants, and it triggered me because it was one of the announcements that we did at Sapphire as well, where the initial version of Joule was very technical oriented towards the embedded AI. The announcement that we make is that Joule now also gets consultative capabilities. Yeah? Imagine you are using one of our pieces of software and you want to know how you should develop and what steps to take to fix a certain problem in the process or to optimize typically questions that are consultative that a consultant would ask. Joule is now also capable of helping you with those kinds of questions, Greg.
Wow, thank you.
We know our community, but we don't know yours yet. Why not share the benefits of your UK&I Sub membership with those who don't know about us? The UK&I Sub referral scheme rewards you for helping to grow and develop our community. You can check out the link in the description to find out more about how you can get involved. Terms and conditions apply. We hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
And just going back to the Microsoft 365 Copilot integration, if you like, and there's also, I believe, future integrations maybe on coming down the line, such as Meta and Google Cloud, perhaps. And what will these bring, or let's focus specifically, perhaps, on Microsoft 365. What will these bring in terms of capabilities for SAP customers?
Yeah, so the Joule and Copilot integration goes very, very far, of course. Yeah, so with Joule, we bring as SAP all the in-context AI capabilities for the SAP ecosystem. With the integration now with Copilot, it means that I can also can use the Microsoft Copilot capabilities to search for certain things in my emails, to look at the public internet and ask for certain recommendations that come from external parties as well. So where Microsoft Copilot is very strong in the collaboration technologies, think of Microsoft Office, on putting things in Word, summarizing things, getting sentiments out of certain documents, whatever, that can now be combined with all the capabilities that we bring with SAP Joule on top of our SAP ecosystem. And I think we primarily need to look in that direction. Now, on the other hand, we just announced it, correct? Yeah, so it was just announced at Sapphire, counting back 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think the next few weeks and months, I recommend everybody to carefully scan our communities, the YouTube channels, because I bet you there will be a ton of examples, ideas, surprising new capabilities being shown and shared over there.
Oh, fantastic! Look forward to picking those up as we go along, and then sharing them wider. That's brilliant. And just on the point you made earlier, I think another one of the key announcements around the for companies that are transforming, dedicated enterprise architect. Is this is this part of Rise with SAP program, or is it wider than that?
Customers transforming to WISE with S/4HANA, with optimized processing, with maybe remodeling of certain processes recommended, what have you. Let there be no discussion, Greg. These are very serious. This is the heart of the organization you are touching. And of course, we always had our services ready for that. We have our service offerings for those transformations. But now we just offer customers who go in that route, you just are confirmed to have an enterprise architect permanently with you. And I think that, that takes away a lot of questions of customers, maybe some concerns, or customers who are a bit inconfident, or, a bit scared on how to do that. Those enterprise architects are in the heart of our organization. So they are very close to my organization. These guys have permanent access to our product and development organization. These persons are also very, how do you say that, dominantly positioned. So it's an important role. They have prioritized access to certain things. And I think it's important, if you are on a route going through WISE, that with this person, with this dedicated person, basically taking you by the hand, see it like that, making sure you have all information, making sure you use the best practices, making sure you use the right templates, making sure you choose the right prioritization steps in your transformation is quite important. It's a huge investment from our side, but I think it also shows a bit our commitment to WISE.
Thank you. So I suppose the key takeaway from that then is this will support customers on their journey with advice, with, you mentioned there taking you by the hand, that somebody will be there to hold your hand, give advice on structure, on, business processes, and making sure that journey to Rise is ultimately a success.
Spot on. Staying a bit in the transformation steps, yeah. So we also have, next to WISE, we have the SAP Grow offering, yeah, which is slightly positioned. It's a more simplified version, I dare to say. It primarily focuses on the mid market. One of the things that we announced over there is that on top of the existing SAP Grow offering, that will now also include SAP Sales Cloud and Concur Expense. And I can tell you, I'm a user, coincidentally, internally, from both applications. They are strong, stable applications. Concur is fantastic when it comes to expense management, travel management. We do everything with it. SAP Sales Cloud is an equally strong product. So they are now added to the Grow portfolio, Greg, and I think that is quite good news for the mid-market customers as well.
Yeah, it was quite interesting to hear that, because it's almost like Grow's building up a suite of products in there. Little like if I look at what we use here, SAP Business by Design, that cloud suite of products, it's almost building that cloud suite for the mid-market with the new products.
Yep.
Okay, so I think one of the other things you talked about was WalkMe, and yeah, it's a surprising announcement that just kind of came just before Sapphire, or as it was opening, if you like, was the acquisition of WalkMe. And could you explain who WalkMe is and how this acquisition can benefit SAP customers in the future?
I'm going to be honest and open to you, Greg. The moment I heard about it, I was also surprised. And then 5 seconds later, I thought, of course. Yeah. So where is this playing? Yeah. And I take the listeners to this podcast a little bit back on the following. With BTP, with SAP in general, we are more and more playing in the cloud. And in whatever angle you look at it, Greg, but in the cloud, one of the most important topics is adoption and consumption of the technology. Yeah, making sure that people understand the technology, that they adopt and consume it in the right way. That even means that we organized ourselves towards it. Yeah, so I think it is we've communicated around that many years in a row. We have now the CSP organizations, which is dedicated on consumption and adoption, that already exists for many years. Customers who use our technology get such a CSP person assigned to them who help them onboarding the technology. With the acquisition of WalkMe, we play in that area of consumption and adoption. And WalkMe is technology that helps a new user to find his or her way in the technology. How to start it, where to go, how to learn it, what are the best workflows, what to do in certain cases. So it is technology that we can and will apply to every SAP cloud product. And I think the latter was important. So don't ask me about the details. We just acquired the company, but it was mentioned and announced at Sapphire, Greg, that in the end, WalkMe will be embedded in every cloud product of SAP, helping you to learn software, to onboard, to start it, to find your way, to know where to go, to avoid steps or workflows you shouldn't do, to make sure that you seamlessly can onboard and learn the technology.
Thank you. And everything we're talking about here must impact your side of the business very heavily, because everything seems has a route through BTP that we're talking about. Obviously, a lot of the AI capabilities are available through BTP or within BTP. We've obviously got WalkMe and the adoption consumption, which I think is, from what I've seen, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a big focus now of the BTP teams. I'm working with the BTP team in the UK and Ireland, and the big focus seems to be not about the selling, it's about the adoption and the consumption. Our customers are actually using the products and the services to better their business.
Well, yeah, spot on. Yeah. So, and I'm lucky enough to be in BTP, and just to summarize maybe, or to give you a bit my perspective on BTP, Greg, BTP is the, underline bold, is the innovation and integration platform for SAP in the cloud. End of the discussion. I get quite often asked, hey, how serious is SAP about BTP? Let me tell you the following. We have, in the meantime, 7 board members. One of them is Jürgen Müller. He owns BTP and he has a team of 24,000 people working 5 days per week on BTP. That's how serious we are about BTP. BTP serves 2 purposes. If I really need to summarize it, it does 2 things. It makes sure that our core applications of SAP, S4, SuccessFactors, or Webar, Fieldglass, it makes sure that the core applications of SAP can integrate with each other or integrate with third party. I want S4 to talk to Salesforce. I want Fieldglass to talk to whatever, Microsoft Dynamics, I just make up something. Integration, that's one. And the second thing BTP does, it makes sure that you as a user can innovate on top of our core applications. Innovate with building an application, innovate with building a dashboard, innovate with doing business AI. Yeah? Now, I've said the word business AI is, of course, a very hot topic. Where does BTP play a role? I just explained that AI is embedded, and we at Sapphire, we saw more and more coming already in the core applications of SAP. But now let's imagine that you as a user want to extend that. You want to build your own custom AI case, or you want the AI in our applications talk to, large language models, or those kinds of things. Well, you need to have this very strong cloud-driven data layer that is able to connect both worlds. And that is where we play with DataSphere and HANA Cloud. And maybe I can give you, if you allow me, Greg, to give you an example. Yeah? One of the things, let's zoom in a bit on that AI stuff. Of course, the moment that customers want to really build use cases with things like business AI, you immediately get into the question and discussion around grounding. Now, let me explain to you and the users and the viewers over here what I mean with grounding. I'm going to give you a very direct example. I'm going to give you two examples. First one, grounding of AI is all about context. If I walk in the city center of London and I'm yelling to everybody in the city center, I'm going to kill the Queen, I end up in jail. But if I sit behind my chessboard and I'm yelling, I'm going to kill the Queen, everybody's applauding, because in chess, that is a fantastic approach. It is the context that is different. I go one step further. If I open ChatGPT right now, and we are both hungry, Greg, so I'm going to type in ChatGPT, give me the best recipe for spaghetti bolognese. It will immediately answer me. But now let's go to day to day. If I now go to ChatGPT and I change the question saying, hey, give me the best spaghetti recipe for spaghetti bolognese, but you have to use the ingredients that are in my fridge, then the ingredients in my fridge are basically the grounding for my question, because maybe I don't have cheese in my fridge, and it needs to come up with a recipe with an ingredient, mozzarella maybe, that is in my fridge. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah, so this
Yep, yep.
grounding, bringing things into the context of where you ask your questions, is super relevant. If I take the example of the spaghetti bolognese towards a customer asking me questions about the use of our technology by their users, which directly goes into our sales operations, I better answer them in their context, in their legislation, in their type of contract that they have. Yeah, and that can differ for the UK, for Belgium, and maybe they have on-premise or private, whatever. Yeah, so this grounding is super essential. That is, by the way, why we announced HANA Vector Engine, to make sure that we can do that grounding. I hope that gives you a bit of perspective, Greg.
It does indeed, and thank you. And it was part of, I think it was at was it called the Customer Experience Showcase in the midst of Sapphire. And when I was chatting to the guys, when I'd gone round that showcase, who were talking about smart fridges, etc., and taking it to the next level, and knowing what ingredients are in the fridge, looking at what you want to cook, and then understanding what's in the fridge, but more importantly, perhaps what's not in the fridge, ordering that online, so you've got the ingredients ready to go and make the spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah, and I always like the example because it puts things a little bit in perspective. But that grounding, everybody's full of LLMs and fantastic. But you need to always put it in relation, in context of our own SAP ecosystem, and that is what we are doing with things like DataSphere and the HANA Vector Engine.
Yeah, thank you very much. So just, I think we've covered those main topics, and one of the big topics part of last year's announcements at Sapphire was sustainability. And I just wondered, were there any updates or anything this year at Sapphire to take the sustainability message forward?
Yeah, so sustainability, and for example, one of the green ledger, but also the sustainability control tower, keeps evolving over time, and especially our sustainability reporting, modeling, what have you, is primarily driven by anything that comes out of our S4s or ERPs. That's important. The evolution that we see in sustainability, big surprise, but it's also AI driven. So one of the things that we are now bringing, think around things like emission factors, for example. Yeah, those are quite complex calculations that are not easy for companies to calculate. We now have the AI helping you to pre-calculate those or maybe even suggest them completely to you. So those are the things coming in over there in the control tower, apart from the fact that if you see some of the technology used in some of those, there was some data sphere tech in there was some analytics tech in there. Of course, that embedded AI is also becoming available. So that is where we evolve in the sustainability area. One of the cool things that we, by the way, also announced at TechEd is a spend control tower, a bit similar approach from the sustainability control tower. You hear me coming, a central layer that accesses all relevant spend information in the various applications, bringing that together and giving you a kickstart, Greg.
Oh, thank you very much, Iver. And as we come towards the close of our discussion now, what is the main takeaway you'd like our listeners to remember from Sapphire 2024?
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is that SAP is beyond the times that we were discovering AI and entrepreneuring AI. AI is in our technology and is everywhere. It is super mature. It's proven technology. We have already customers using it with fantastic stories. So I think that we are on that AI journey is a thing to remind, yeah. And this is also, I'm 100% convinced, this is a thing that stays quick. So AI is super important. For the West, I think what I like is that we see an evolution. We are on a good path. We innovate in the cloud. That is where you need to be, in the cloud. That is where we innovate. I think we're also continuing that journey. And then, of course, we can double click on the various LOBs, but we just discussed that. I think we are ramping up quite quickly over there. I dare to say that SAP for the moment is in a very healthy and a very good state, and I'm super proud to be part of it.
Iver, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your insights. It's been great talking to you again. And thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it valuable. Please make sure you do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and be happy.